All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 394 of the KissFAQ Podcast. I'm your host, Julian Gill. Today we've got someone who's got snow issues. Yeah, that's 110 million Americans and a whole bunch of Canadians too, eh, Mark?
Yeah, exactly. How you guys all doing? I'm covered with snow here.
Marcus Almighty, of course, on the board. How's your album doing?
Good, actually. I'm been getting orders left, right, and center. This is the most I've ever sold on a pre-order for a CD, since I've started. So I'm extremely happy, and I'm down to 4 copies of book 1 on vinyl and 10 copies of book 2, and that's it. I have no more vinyl. I can't believe it.
Get your orders in, people. Project Gemini with a K and a M-N-E-Y-E at Bandcamp, and check out his music. You can always listen to it before you purchase. You've been on any podcasts? You got any appearances that you just want to quickly draw people's attention to?
Not as of yet, but this coming up, there's going to be a few that I have in the works going on. Pottered in Hell wants to do one with me. They also there's also a new one from a guy named Preston Fraser, who does a site called Something Else Reviews, and he started up a podcast, a musical one. So there's a lot of things in the works, but with Christmas and all that stuff that happened before, everybody was kind of laying low for a while, and now everybody's just getting back in gear again. So.
Very cool. That gives me an opportunity to plug my shit because now I've been polite and plugged yours. Thank you. I've just been on the Booked on Rock podcast, and
nice.
Over to the Aerosmith on Tour Facebook page. You can see all the details there. And I'll be on Connecticut Radio next Tuesday. And again, details are on the whatever it's called. Oh yeah, the Facebook. I refuse to call it Meta. All right, let's get into Kiss talk. This week we've had a couple of topics that have lingered on the board for a while that I wanted to have our turn at taking a bash at. So we often don't participate in those threads as fully as we do because we're going to discuss them here and see what our peers are talking about on the board. So let's get started straight out of the hat. Oh yeah, I got a new hat. Right, the guy who didn't like my Boston hat. This one's been around for a while, and it's Where's the Filler? Which Originals era album had the most songs that you consider filler on it? And maybe we'll throw in the unmasked albums afterwards. So, Mark, you given any thought to sort of the original 6? Those are kind of the holy book of Christianity in some ways that people really look back on the most fondly. Are there any of those albums that you think have a lot of filler on them, and if so, which?
Yeah. Look, I know people are going to right away say he's going to go right to Destroyer on this one. I know it, but the fact of the matter is, I can't, as a writer and as a musical person, I can't with a proper conscience go and say that there's a lot of filler on Destroyer, because there really isn't. They did work on a lot of material, and Bob Ezrin has not been known to be a filler sort of guy. So, sure, throughout their years, they've had things here and there, like, Love Theme from Kiss could be looked at as a filler thing, which it obviously was. You could look at Hotter Than Hell and say that, All the Way and songs like that are kind of, could be looked at as filler. There ain't exactly, classic songs by any stretch of the imagination. And there just isn't enough material, in my opinion, on Dress to Kill. It's such a short album, and they're all poppy, catchy songs, so I wouldn't consider that. So when I think of filler, although I love this album very much, I would say that the most filler to me comes from Love Gun. I mean, if you take a look at it, I mean, you got stuff like, God Love for Sale, Hooligan, Almost Human, all that to me seems like filler to me, and then the ultimate filler, Then She Kissed Me,
No.
I mean, if you don't acknowledge that is filler, I mean, look at the rest of it. I Stole Your Love, Christine 16, Shock Me, Love Gun, compare that to the other ones, it's kind of looked at as filler, in my opinion.
So how do you define filler versus, say, a throwaway?
A song that, in my opinion, just hasn't been given as much attention or love in the recording or writing process. That's what I look at as filler. It's kind of like, shit, we need 2 more songs. Hey, Gene, you have any songs in that book there we can use real quick? Yeah, I got, I got Love for Sale here, or I got, Plaster Caster. I wrote that, 2 days ago in 10 minutes. So, and I mean, and hey, he said it himself. He writes songs like, people go through, toilet paper. So just those songs to me, I don't look at them on the same level as like a song where somebody's been working on it for days and days to trying to get it just right. Hey, that's just my opinion. You can say I'm wrong about it. I can already see in Ken's face he's like, no, he's attacking Gene's material again. I don't like this. So correct me if I'm incorrect.
No, well, there's no such thing as an incorrect opinion, right, Ken?
That's right. Everyone has their own opinion. That's all good. On Love Gun, you're talking about Then She Kissed Me. That's a song that just, they worked on it and they did it. It's a well-written song. The original is better, but they should have never, tried to do that one. If they were going to do a copy, they should have stuck something else in there. But I don't agree with, your, Got Love for Sale as filler or Almost Human. I love Almost Human. I think it's a great song. I love it. I love that song. But anyway, and again, that's just my opinion, which is your opinion. So, Love Gun could be, but I'm going to, second album, no, maybe not. Third, it's either between, for me, it's either Dressed to Kill or the first album, only because if you say Kissin' Time, it's just okay. Actually, the first album's okay. So I'm gonna go with Dressed to Kill.
Whoa.
And you're not gonna believe this, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because of probably the first 3 songs on the album. Room Service is okay. Yeah. It's okay. It's a good little rocker. But Gene's songs, those are not his best.
Yeah.
I'd Ladies in Waiting.
Yeah, Two-Timer.
Two-Timer. They're good, but they're, like you said, they're not finished really. To me, they're not really.
Yeah.
They should have, had like a guitar solo in them, and they should have, they're not finished. They're more like, to me, a demo. I think they could have done a couple of things that make those songs better. Otherwise, the rest of the album's pretty good. So I'm just gonna say, the other part where they stuck in the Ace's guitar, though I love it, some may consider that filler the lead into Rock Bottom.
Sorry, just to jump on that point of it, they even said themselves when I read those in some of these books that when they were making that album, the Gene and Paul would go in, write for the first quarter of the day, and then Peter and Ace would come in, and they would record it. Like, obviously, they didn't put in nearly as much time working on these songs as they did others. So that could be construed in my way of thinking as that's totally like filler. Like, look, you have a riff, I got a riff, let's put it together, done. We call it a song. Get Ace in here, get Peter in here, we'll record it.
Yeah.
Rather than sitting around a piano with Bob and saying, okay, well, here's a good idea for a chorus. I like this. No, let's scrap that. That's more worked out.
Let's move the bridge and change the key, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, and add a choir.
Yeah, exactly. And a symphony.
Right. So, I mean, it's again, that in that instance, that album is kind of rushed, obviously, and that's the only reason. I don't hate those songs that I said are filler, but I said they could have been better, or more, polished or finished,
Mm-hmm.
I actually forgot to mention this at the beginning because there was a new podcast episode out by Mr. K's Super Show, the Big Honkin' Boxer Destroyer, with a guest star Lee Conrad from Kiss Science Theater is on that, and they raised a point about one of Gene's songs where he went back and recycled for Destroyer something that had already been released on Dress to Kill. So that was like them, Gene trying to properly flesh out the idea, or maybe he just forgotten that he'd already used that riff. Gene and filler seem to go synonymously. Hold on while I press the button on my Blend-O-Matic lyric generator. Boom, it's out. And then I'm going to use riff 359 plus riff 221 and melody 13. Okay, there's your song. Paul, fill in the words for me.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
There's a massive difference. I think it comes down to both the albums that you guys both mentioned, Dress to Kill and Love Gun. Now, Dress to Kill, I kind of consider a lot of those songs to be throwaways. Those are songs that are created under pressure of time and need rather than a lack of shit giving. Or, just casually throwing out a song is what I consider filler. Or I can't be bothered to work on the arrangement. I can't be bothered to refine it. Whereas we don't have time. Neil Bogart's cracking the whip. He's lit up his third doobie of the day, and he wants that damn song done today. So two completely different contrasting approaches to what we would generally, I guess, call less than stellar material. Yeah, there's a Paul Stanley reference for anyone who's missing out on Paul.
Well, a lot of people like the Dress to Kill album because it is kind of in a raw form and rushed. It's more punkish rock, to a degree. That style where you just go in there, crank out a quick recording and you're done. But we put an album together. So a lot of people love that, and that's fine, I actually like the album, but it's not my favorite one. But I see why certain people, like the way that one was put together, recorded,
but
and
honestly,
even written, simple, keep it simple, right?
Mark.
No, I was going to say sonically, it's also probably the best out of the three, sound-wise. I think, you have to give credit to Whitman and, also Bogart there for getting it under control there, right? It is the best sounding of the three, in my opinion at least too. But what about you, Julian? You didn't say which one you thought was the further album.
I didn't get to that part yet because I think Ken raises a good point about the songs on Dress to Kill, but I also think a lot of those songs get a little bit more of a pass because they became alived. And once those songs went through the machine of being a core part of the band's, final album prior to their transformation into big business, that they firmly cemented those songs as being greater than they perhaps sound or were in origination on Dress to Kill. So once they're taken live, they're fully validated. Some of the stuff on Love Gun, number one, never gets widely performed live. Number two, when it's on a live too, it's faked again. Tomorrow and Tonight, recorded live in the studio twice. So, I think that makes that sort of song is not only a throwaway, but it is filler, Tomorrow and Tonight. Then She Kissed Me. I don't really consider that either. I find it I define it nauseating, but that's because I don't like the song and I don't like where they were going with that, because that was them, having been polluted by the comics. That was where they literally become a comic covering, Then She Kissed Me. Though I understand the reasons why, because it was something that had been a theme for other artists, re-recording those sorts of songs from the early 60s, and most of the band members would have had an affinity with some of those songs anyway. So I get it on one hand, but I also think it was pathetic on the other. When you had a song like Love Bite, which would have had more character at least, you may consider Hooligan a throwaway because it's not to your personal taste musically, but at least it was a song that came from Peter in some way, and they could have kissified it much more than they did, and they could have kissified Love Bite and not had anything to do with Then She Kissed Me. So in terms of the filler, the filler's all over Love Gun, because Love Gun has highs that are mighty. I mean, come on, Shock Me, Christine 16, I Stole Your Love, those are highs. I think Plastercaster's a high, But Almost Human, is it a good song? I like it. But is it what I would call a fully defined, refined, and well-executed song? No, it's got a way to go. Same with Got Love for Sales. Got Love for Sale has promise. And it maybe if it had become part of the live set on a regular basis, it would have become more than it is. But it didn't. So from those perspectives, I'm going to say the filler from the first 6 is mostly on Love Gun, which is a shame because it starts off so well.
Agreed.
No arguments with me. Okay.
I'm not gonna argue.
Listeners, argue with my point of view, please. Take me to task for being wrong, lest I get too big ahead. All right, let's move on then. Have you ever been surprised that a song you've heard is actually Kiss? Ken?
Yeah, just the, and I guess in this circumstance, it was when Dynasty came out, and I actually heard the "I Was Made for Loving You" on the radio. We were actually, me and a couple of buddies were on our way driving down the freeway when we were listening to the radio, AM radio, here in San Francisco Bay Area, and they were playing, "Hey, we got a song, from a an artist, and we're gonna see if anyone can guess who it is." And they played it. I didn't know. I was like, "Wait a minute, this is so familiar in a way to me," and I couldn't figure it out, which was surprising to me. But it turned out, to be Kiss, "I Was Made for Loving You," and so it was kind of shocking to me and even the buddies I was with. They were into Kiss too, and they didn't get it either. So that was the real surprise for me, that song. Otherwise, I've heard other songs later on that were Kiss on the radio. When I think I heard "Tears Are Falling" on the radio, and I'm like, it was the first time hearing it, and I get just the chords and everything, and just the way they perform, and then I think that's Kiss, and so. But yeah, "I Was Made for Loving You." It's probably a lot of people, I would say, for that one, but I don't know. What are yours?
Mark?
Well, there were a couple of circumstances where this happened to me. Being that I got into it a little later, obviously, than you did, Ken, but there was a few moments where I was kind of like taken aback. Like I remember one time that was pretty, like not recent, but more recent than, let's say, Dynasty, was the first time I was visiting my friend's house when he was in the band with me that I was playing in. He was playing something, goes, "Hey, check this out." And he was playing something, and he goes, "Guess who this is?" And at first I couldn't get who it was, and then I heard Gene start singing. I was like, "Oh," I go, "It sounds like Kiss," but to me it sounded way too heavy. And that's when I heard "Unholy" the first time, and I was like, "Oh my God!" At first I didn't get that it was Kiss, and I was really taken aback because it was clearly the heaviest sort of production that they had put to record in who knows how long, right? So that was one of the first times that happened. The other time that happened to me was a similar time where I got picked up by the same dude, and I was in the car and I was listening to a CD with him in there, and I'm looking around trying to find the case to see what he's listening to, and he was listening to "Just a Boy," like Elder, and that really was like, whoa, like I go, "This is Kiss," like, because by that point I was really back into my Kiss phase, but I hadn't stumbled back into that album. Like I had never really gotten into that album during the time when I was in the apartment building when my sister was in it with her friends and all that. That album was like a bad word amongst them. They didn't mention it. No one mentions the Elder, because they were those, the typical 70s guys, the jeans, the cutoff jean jacket with the patches on the back, rock and roll over, man, it's the fucking ultimate album, those kind of guys. So when you mentioned the Elder, they're like, "No, we don't know what you're talking about," kind of thing, right? So when I heard that the first time, I was clearly taken aback by it. The Dynasty thing, believe it or not, I wasn't so surprised by it because my sister had the 45 of it and was playing it all the time. But she did play, I believe it's "Hard Times" was the B-side, I think, on that.
Yeah.
And she would play both. So at least it wasn't that big a shock because she would play that and then flip it and play it, and she just kept flipping it all the time. So you'd hear those two songs all the time. So at least I got, the ace bit in there as well. But it didn't really surprise me that much, I don't think, because Jane listened to so many different kinds of, records and music and stuff like that. So I was kind of used to a little bit of that kind of music, right? But clearly, the elder stuff and the revenge, the first time I heard it, clearly was a big surprise, but in a good way at least.
Yeah, for me, it's similar to you as fans of the later era. Later era, 37 years ago.
Yeah.
Unlike Ken getting to hear "I Was Made for Loving You" on the radio or "Tears Are Falling" on the radio, I didn't listen to the radio that much back in the day. So my experiences with the Kiss albums were just going through them, catching up for the most part, especially for the classic ones, and then afterwards, I was a little bit surprised with Unholy as well, because just where that falls time-wise, and first seeing that video and that image on MTV, it was rather shocking that they were that heavy. But then again, that song musically is not really that much heavier than, say, The Oath.
Yeah.
In terms of dynamics, at least to me and my taste. So it wasn't that shocking that they were doing it. It was more shocking that they had, that sound, that image, the visuals in that fantastic video as well. You're like, wow, that's Kiss. What have they been eating their Wheaties? So that was kind of one that drew my attention. I guess another one. I guess Crazy Nights. Crazy Nights. The single, first hearing that and that what the fuck moment that I've always complained about as a new fan, going from Asylum to cheesy, polished pap, was really more of a shock value than surprise. Well, yeah, I was surprised that Paul Stanley suddenly wanted to be John Bon Jovi or Bret Michaels or any of them. It's like, what the hell? You're Paul Stanley, man. Shake him by the collar. Get a grip. You don't want to be them. They want to be you. You got it all ass backwards. So that one really stunned me, that it had gone kind of dancey, catchy stuff, but yet it was still pure cheese. Like Kiss has always been pure cheese in some ways. So it's like, is it that shocking, or is it the similar thing to Ken's Dynasty moment with "I Was Made for Loving You" just 10 years later? So I think then the other one would have to be In My Head.
Really?
That's more a WTF are they doing moment rather than surprised Kiss is doing it. Yeah, I'm surprised Kiss wants to be that band and to do shit like that. I'm shocked. I'm hurt. I'm offended that they want to do that, because that wasn't music that a style I was into. So that's three, I guess, from different eras or errors of the band, as far as I'm concerned. All right, let's get negative for this one, because I want to finish on a high point today. And it's The Greatest Insult. This was just posted yesterday. And I'm going to read it because it has some valid points, and obviously, as we'll talk about, some completely invalid points. And it starts off, I'm a fan of over 40 years. I love the band. I love the legacy. I've been to some amazing shows, but now the gloss is really wearing off. Whether it's Paul's scathing autobiography bitching about everyone, Gene's over sentimentalism, the 100 million albums sold claim, or the Dubai fraud. There's one for you, Ken. It's all looking pretty crappy at this stage, like a crappy end at this stage. So it makes me wonder, what do we think is the biggest insult they've, like Kiss is an entity like Voltron, dealt the fans? I've kind of accepted the lip syncing, as at least we don't have to hear, well, how challenged Paul's vocals are. The greatest insult. I mean, I think that's a highly melodramatic way of putting it, because there's not a meeting going on in the boardroom of saying these dratted fans just won't fuck off and let us go. We're going to have to get together. All right, Tommy, what can we do that'll really piss them off? Oh, what? You'll become ace? Okay. Eric, what do you think we can do to really piss them off? No, it's almost taking the view that they're deliberately engineering things to offend longtime fans, and I don't think that is the case. I think for the past 3 years in particular, there has been a confluence of happenstance and events that have really culminated in everything going to shit with Dubai. I think that's a lack of planning, a lack of consideration on the part of the band. That once they took the money, they thought that abrogated them of any responsibility, even though they shilled it to the fans. But, Ken, longtime fan. I mean, you're generally a pretty rosy guy about the band, very balanced, and you have your occasional, you pop off on a quarter now and then, but you stay very, very mild and well-mannered.
Well, yeah. I guess because I'm used to it. I've been around for so long. Yeah, I mean, it goes all the way back to, it goes back to even, what is it, when they said they wouldn't ever have Ace and Peter back in the band. And then they turn around, they do the reunion tour, and stuff like that. And things like that really bug me is, trying to hide things, I guess it is, from the fans, such as Psycho Circus, saying that, oh yeah, we all, played, all the instruments on every song and everything. We didn't have any other people on there. It was just a 4, and just be truthful about it, stuff like that. But yeah, the Dubai thing, yeah, they're putting their name. I mean, it's gotten to the point, if someone will pay them enough money, yeah, they'll put their Kiss logo on it. It doesn't matter, right? Whether it's booze or whatever else, and it's that's become kind of like, okay, yeah, we'll just take the money and run, like you were talking about with Dubai. Yeah, well, like we did the concert, we got a lot of money, we set some Guinness Book World Records and that sort of stuff, but I don't care. After that, it's out of my hands, and it's that third party. They're just, they should be doing their thing, but you know what? It's your name's still on it after you've taken the money. Your name's still on it. You need to make sure that the fans are taken care of, who spent all that money, on that live performance. So that's an important thing. And then the one other thing that constantly happens, and usually it's usually Gene says, we hear and we obey, you're the the fans, we listen to our fans. No, you're not listening to your fans. I think, like for instance, a lot of the fans have probably asked for, maybe at this point now that Paul's voice is shaky or whatever, it's less, but it's like, record an album for your fans. They want it. They seem to think it's not important because they're not going to make money off of it. Well, you made a lot of money off the fans in the past for all the concerts that we've attended, and albums we bought, and merchandise that's been bought, posters, dolls, this and that. So it's that really bothers me. Just do something small. I mean, I don't think it's that difficult. So what? You may lose some money on it. I don't think they'll lose money on it. But anyway, I could go on. Obviously, there's a lot of things that I know bother the fans in different ways, but those are some of the things that really bother me.
Okay, Mark, what do you think?
Well, I think that Ken brings up a couple of really solid points. For example, the Dubai thing here. Okay, I know that I can't put myself parallel to Kiss as far as, running a record label or kind of thing like that. But I'll tell you one thing though. I don't care how big a band you are. If you are out there marketing yourself in this situation and putting out a product and saying that you're going to do this stuff for your fans, and like you said, Ken, their big catch line for all these years was "We hear, we obey." Okay, if that's true, if this is your line that you use to say how much you care about your fans, then this line has become an utter joke now, in my opinion. That you don't hear it, you don't obey shit, as far as I'm concerned, because this should have been rectified long time ago. I don't care what the business arrangement is with this company that's handling it. I couldn't rest if I knew this was happening in the background. If I was Kiss and I knew that all these people were not getting their stuff, it's flooding the internet, people are bitching, complaining about it, I would step up and say something. I mean, like I said, I run a very, very small operation, but if I even get one or two people that message me and say, listen, I haven't gotten my record yet in the mail, I know I live in Australia, so I'm going to give it some time, but I just wanted to let you know, I've sent out records numerous times, extra ones at no cost to the person, because I wanted to make sure that they were happy and got what they paid for. And it's happened multiple times where the people writing me back and say, hey, Mark, I got your record, plus the other one showed up too. Do you want me to send it back? Do you want to? And I just say, listen, just give it to a friend, pass it on. Don't send it back, because it's probably going to take another 15 years to come back to me, right? But at least this way, the people are happy. That is the most important thing, I think, in this business that people overlook, is that if you want to have a successful business long term, you have to keep the fans happy. I mean, sure, Kiss is already ending their career now. They've been in it 50 years. They probably don't give a shit as much anymore about it, because they're winding down. But come on, man, if you stand by those words that, we're here for the fans, then, step up, Gene, step up, Paul. Go to this company and say, listen, I've read a lot of shit on the internet about this. Something's got to be done about this. Not next week, but now. Because people like, Ken has spent hundreds of dollars, Julian spent thousands of dollars on this stuff, and you just expect these people to just swallow it and just, go on with their lives? I wouldn't, man. It would be haunting me, honestly. Maybe they're not that way. I don't know, but that would really bother me. And that really bothers me as people, for like them as people, that they would allow that to happen. Now, the other thing that I just wanted to bring up really quickly was the other thing that I found a bit insulting, and this is kind of like how I got a little bit perturbed with Metallica years later, was that, don't say something if you're not going to hold yourself to it. Like Metallica back in the days were like, we're never going to do a video, dudes. And what did they do? They made not one, but several dozen videos. Like, and the same thing with these guys were always saying, we're never going to do any kind of, tapes. We're not going to have, backing tracks and this and that. And bam, they're doing it. That to me, I would be less insulted by it if they never said anything about it and then they started doing it. I'd be like, okay, well, whatever. They have their reasons. Paul's voice is going and this and that. But you know what? If you're going to go out and make such a grandiose statement and then you go back on it, that to me, I don't like that. Better to say nothing and just have happen what happened than to just go out there and say, no, these bands they're fucking idiots. They're using backing tapes. Kiss never did that. Look at us. We always go on stage and we do everything live. Well, guess what? Now your foot's in your mouth and almost down to your ankle in your throat. Okay, with that. So that's one thing that I find really insulting. Just don't ever make comments like that. Let that be a lesson to other bands too. Don't make grandiose statements like that if you know you're not going to be able to hold your end up of the boat with that.
It's the ghost of the Michael Jackson doll. Should never have mocked Michael Jackson on stage in the 1980s. Yeah. He died and he came back and got you, Paul. He sure showed you. I think from nearly day one, if you think of Rock and Roll All Night being the band's anthem and its signature song, as much as Beth competes with that mantle, read the fucking lyrics. You drive us wild, and we'll drive you crazy. And boy, don't they. They've never hidden their desires. But, again, we get to the merchandising that they will slap their frickin' faces on anything for a buck as long as they get paid up front. And then the dolls can look like melted plasticine, stretchy things, or whatever that amazing elastic guy used to be.
Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah. You see some of the faces on those dolls? It's like, you actually give a shit about selling your branding to put on garbage? Just junk? That I'm more insulted on than anything. I mean, Dubai, yeah, they got paid, and we got screwed. And that's not an insult to the fans as much as the overarching thing of a mentality is, as long as we get paid, screw the little guy. You know, that's just someone who's lost touch with it, but it's our own damn fault. Any fan that ever accepted "we hear and we obey" is really, pushing the bounds of reality. It's such an empty piece of rhetoric, because that's not how it works. They're the band, we're the fans. You're either a fan of what they do or you're not. You are not the one that's directing their direction, or shouldn't be. Now, I know in the 80s they sent out questionnaires to fans about what they wanted for the next album.
Yeah.
But I think that was because they had lost touch with themselves. They completely lost the plot. Once they started playing Chase the Tail rather than Be the Whole Hog. Yeah, Gene,
Maybe.
There's one straight back at you. Or, no, it's Paul Stanley. Whole Hog.
But maybe instead of "we hear and obey," it's "we hear and you pay."
Yeah.
One way or the other. But
And the other quick thing on that is, we've heard about someone saying Doc is work, Doc McGee knows about it, is working on it or whatever. I don't see any traction on that or whatever. But it is possible that Gene and Paul don't even know about what's about the Dubai thing, about the merchandise, what's going on there. It may be one of those things. Oh, we don't want to bother, like Doc. I'm not going to bother them with this.
If as a manager you don't tell Gene, and then he posts his blathering braggadocious, "Here's my gift certificate with, ooh, look at me," and then people chiming in, "Ooh, you're an asshole. Where's my shit?"
You saw the awards, right?
Yeah, they were printed
that
out
he
at Kinko's
posted
that morning.
About the Guinness, yeah, exactly. So he knows about that, but do you know that there's still, it's not fulfilled.
But how could he not know, Ken? I mean, how could he not know that this is happening? Okay, I find that incredibly hard to believe. I mean, even if he's a very seldom user of the internet, okay, any band who has a decent manager, and I'd like to say that I think Doc McGee's decent, okay, maybe he isn't the greatest manager in the world, but he was known to be up there as one of the better producers in rock music, okay. He must know. He must at least keep Gene in the loop about what the hell's going on, and especially if he's going to start getting heat from fans, getting email from them. I mean, I'm sure he's going to spread that love to Gene at least to see what the hell's going on or what they can do about it. The fact that they've taken this long to do it, I think, is personally alarming, because they have at least some clout to step in and say, listen, what the fuck is going on here? At least tell us what's going on, and we can inform people what's going on. At least they could come back and say, listen, we finally got a hold of them. Listen, we're 6 months behind in pressing, so the records, they ain't coming anytime soon. Or we're having trouble with this and that. Cargo ships are held up in sea or something, or who knows what. But tell people. They're not telling people. That's the main thing. People hate being put in the dark.
Yeah.
We can't get rid of the Guinness guy out of the film. We're having technical issues.
It just won't go away.
Yeah, because I can't imagine Kiss wanting to ever release a product with that twit in there. And I'm sorry, I equate what Guinness has become as being basically the Walmart of records. Yeah, it's just bullshit. It's like buying a square foot of Scotland to have a lordship. You're a freaking idiot. That's not how it works. So, but I think some of the comments that people come up with, you're the enemy. Okay, I think that was a mistake to go out there, and it certainly is a insult, literally and figuratively. But there's another way of wording it: of we don't want you to kill us by your choices. You're. But then again, the band can't really say anything about COVID after going on tour during a COVID spike, and
True.
everything that went with that. How many audience members got sick? They don't seem to worry about that. How they handled the Eric Carr situation, that's an interesting one, but I don't think any of us really know enough about that situation other than hearsay to be able to formulate a reasonable opinion. I know that some parties have said some things and other parties have not. I don't have enough information. I just know that it didn't seem to go as it should, and Paul has spoken of regrets. But, an insult to the fans? No, that's an insult to Eric and his family. How long do you have? These are good. I mean, I saw this thread and I fully expected to open it and see a picture of a saxophone necklace. Ooh.
Oh,
That's called. Ken, did you buy one?
No, no way. What the hell for?
What about that new Italian pressing of Love Gun? Have you gotten one of those?
Oh, I do have. It's the Italian pressing of Love Gun is on its way. It's taken a long time through customs and stuff. So, but
D.
it's on its
Agostini pressing of Love Gun.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Something like that. I'm not buying any vinyl these days, so I'm not paying that much attention.
Yeah, that one I decided to
yeah, because D'Agostini did a whole run of Beatles records. There was a guy who had a podcast channel, and he had a hell of a trouble with D'Agostini getting his stuff because he ordered it and he would get it delivered to his house, and they kept sending him Sgt. Pepper like every month instead of the correct one. So he kept having to send it back, and he would record his conversations on the phone with customer service. It was a nightmare with D'Agostini, apparently, for the Beatles stuff. But it's interesting that they picked Love Gun, and rumor has it that that's the only one they're going to do. I was interested to see if D'Agostini would go back and try to do, at least all the original albums,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, there's more vinyl coming as well, because someone jumped the gun and posted a picture in the Kiss My Wax Facebook of Union.
Oh, really? Eh?
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like double LP reissues of both the studio albums, and apparently Bruce has commented on a post elsewhere, a possible bonus track. So who knows what that means, especially for Blue Room. I don't remember there being anything extra other than some edits.
Who's releasing that?
That is going. That's a whole different entertainment group. I know it had been previously announced like a year ago, but they've got a new record company that they're working with on that. So the official announcement on that's going to come on March the 1st. I don't care. I've got the music. I don't need vinyl, though. The Blue Room's got a real cover, way better than that previous whatever that was cover on the CD. So that'll be interesting. Let's move into. Get off the insult one, because I think people's perception of how a band insults them or offends them, it's hard for me to really focus in on the negativity when I look back to my feels from that show in Oakland in 2020, Ken.
Of course.
Because that just, I know what it was. I know it was entertainment. I know that it was a show rather than, live. But it was fun. It was fantastic. It was bombastic. It was a great song. So, even Dubai, I'm on the hook for that as well. I'm as screwed as everyone else is.
Yeah.
But I can't do anything about it. Could I email Doc? Yeah. To what point? Others have already done so.
Yeah.
Could I get in touch with Gene? No, he blocked me on Twitter years ago, and I have no idea why. So I can't control anything about that. Do I control my reaction to other things? Yeah, the thing I complained about, them slapping their names on anything, I choose therefore not to buy that shit. It's easy. I'm
You
done
don't
and
have to,
dusted.
right? You don't have to
I
buy
do
it.
roll
Yeah.
my eyes at some of the things that they announce, or some of the
Sure.
these anniversary edition chalkies that they come out with. But then again, I just say to myself that that's not to my taste, so I'm not going to get butthurt about it. I'm just not going to buy the shit. And I know some people will, and it'll be up on eBay with all the other crap they overbuy and they'll never get rid of. So it's business. All right.
Yeah.
So this last topic, I think this was yours, Ken. The best 30 seconds of a Kiss song. That was the best 30 seconds of a Kiss song I ever had.
This first 30 seconds of a Kiss song. I saw that post on the board, and I thought, I thought about that. We never really talk about that. And a couple of songs came to my mind. I'll just reel them off. A few songs, at least. I mean, there's more, but the first one that popped in my head was "I Stole Your Love." That was the first one that I thought, I mean, they used that, at the beginning of that, Detroit Rock City movie.
Yeah.
And it was just perfect. It's just the perfect, rock and, in your face, entry of a song. And it's just a fantastic start. So that one is one of them. Another one is I always like the beginning of 100,000 Years. With the bass intro, a couple of times the bass, a couple picks on da-dum, da-dum, and then it goes into it, da-dum, 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 and goes on, and then it builds. So that was another one that I really liked the first 30 seconds of. Another one is to me it's just a great riff, War, we're maybe sick of it now, but War Machine, just a great, another cool riff intro. Even Dr. Love, it's just a great beginning of some of those songs. So there's a lot, and one thing I did notice when I was going through these, some of the songs, I just was going through some, so I think I like the beginning of this one. Most of them, they get to about 20 seconds, and then usually after 20, it's like a standard almost. And they get to 20 seconds, and then the vocals come in, just shortly after 20 seconds. A lot of them that are that way. Not everything, but a lot of them are like that. Yeah. So what do you think, Mark?
Well, the couple of them immediately came into my mind. It's funny, you mentioned a couple of them there, and most of the ones that you picked out started on guitar, like I Stole Your Love, War Machine, and stuff like that. It's funny that whenever I think of the best first 30 seconds, to me, it always seems to start with drums, like King of the Nighttime, not King of the Night, King of the Mountain is the one that right away I was like, wow, this is like one of the best intros of a song that I've ever heard, for sure, easily. And with that said as well, one that immediately came into my head, and I remember the very first time I heard it, and this is, when I heard it on the original version, like long before they did the 2014 reissues, was I Love It Loud. When I first heard that the very first time, I was like, wow, like what the fuck?
Big drums.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this is what an intro that is. I mean, sure, we're sick of it by now. And also, I bought this compilation video when I was in the KISS convention days on Creatures of the Night, and they showed I Love It Loud on that comp video so many times that I was so sick of that song. By the end of that video, I didn't want to hear it for like half a year. I was so sick of it. Every 3 minutes they would be playing it, because there was always these television clips and video shows, and it was a nightmare. But anyways, that song stands out immediately as a song that I was like, wow, what an intro that is, Mm-hmm. And I mean, the other ones that you mentioned were good too, like Dr. Love is a great intro on guitar, right? Songs like that, I think, definitely stand out. Even if you want to go back to the very beginning, Strutter, that whole drum intro there, it definitely catches your attention right away, and is something that I think is important for a song. You know, you want to hook the person in right away and hold them. And those songs, I think, are all, songs that do that.
Yep.
All right, to close, I'm going to go with mine. Ken, great one with "I Stole Your Love." That would have been my straight up pick. But I think "The Oath," great big chunkin' bombast, and such a false advertising for the rest of the album. I think Mark will probably be with me on this. King of the Mountain.
Yeah, Mark said that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was distracted. The Talk Shop Live autographed copies of Destroyer became available again. Wanted to grab one. So, Come On and Love Me. Again, just the guitars and how it all begins. Great 30 seconds. And then finally, Rocket Ride. Simple, kind of easy, but just so kind of signature. Yeah, again, there's a lot. Strutter. That one. And again, that takes me back to the cutting room with Peter doing it with the brass, just how it's changed up, and that's a great one. Yeah, there's a lot of songs that have a great first 30 seconds, but most of them are also going to have the best, really good for the rest of their seconds as well. Very few of them only have a beginning and then suck ass. Kiss, at least from that perspective, knows how to start off a song, catch your attention, or they're going to fail completely to your taste because the song's just not going to, it's going to be body and soul. So there we go. There's a bunch of kind of randomish topics this week. Show would have been a little bit longer had weather not affected our fourth guy today, but there you go. What do you think of those? What do you think are Kiss's biggest insults towards their fans? And I don't think they've ever done it deliberately. It's just happened. Things haven't worked out. I don't think they ever sat down and say, how can we screw these people? How can we maximize revenue streams? It's not the same as how can we screw them and make them upset, because they are a business. And again, go back to my comments of they're the band and we're the fans. That doesn't mean they've gotten it right. What do you think are the best first 30 seconds of a Kiss song? And is there any Kiss album in the original Kiss canon, we didn't talk about Dynasty, that you think is too much filler and not enough killer? And we'll talk about the unmasked albums in some other episode. So for now, from Mark, Ken, myself, thanks for joining us. Thanks for participating on the board. You guys come up with some fun topics. Chime in wherever you've listened to this show, and we will see you next time. Bye for now. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.